Introducing the Current Affairs Workbook. It is an activity-driven learning comprising summaries, quick facts, MCQs, true-false statements, mains practice questions, and ethics case studies, consolidated into a comprehensive workbook. Dive into our monthly magazine summary, a concise overview capturing key insights, events, and trends of the month. Unlock the power of our Quick Facts block, your rapid reference toolkit with essential facts, figures, and critical statistics. Experience our dynamic activities like MCQs and true-false statements to subjective questions and ethics case studies that refine your analytical thinking and articulation skills. Track your progress with our dedicated self-evaluation page, your personal growth monitoring and improvement tool.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Russia has declared a federal-level emergency after oil pollution along Black Sea coast. National Green Tribunal issues notice to center over ozone levels exceeding limits in Delhi. Impact assessment studies conducted on Smart Cities mission. NTPC Limited partners with CCTE to explore thorium-based nuclear energy solutions. Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services releases Transformative Change Report. The 2014 to 2016 Pacific marine heat wave wiped out 4 million of Alaska's seabird. In our first news for the day, Russia has declared a federal-level emergency following a devastating oil spill along the Black Sea coast. The spill was triggered by storm-damaged oil tankers near the Kerch Strait, releasing thousands of tons of heavy fuel oil, known as majout, into the sea. Now, what exactly is oil pollution? It includes accidental or deliberate operational spills of oil from ships, especially tankers, offshore platforms, and pipelines. Oil discharges to marine environments may also occur from natural seeps and land-based sources such as untreated sewage and storm water, rivers, coastal refineries, and oil storage facilities. Once discharged, oil floats on salt water, rapidly spreading across the water surface to form a thin layer called an oil slick. Let's discuss the impacts of oil pollution. Environmentally, it poses a significant threat to biodiversity. Marine mammals, fishes, turtles, and seabirds face risks such as poisoning, hypothermia, drowning, damaged airways, and loss of insulating ability. The impact on coastal and marine habitats is also severe. Coral reefs risk smothering and toxicity. Also, mangroves, marshes, and seagrasses suffer damage or death. Socioeconomically, the fisheries sector is heavily impacted, threatening livelihoods. Additionally, there are health risks from exposure to contaminated seafood, direct contact, or inhalation of toxic fumes. So, what remedial measures can be taken to address oil spills? Remedial actions include bioremediation, which uses microorganisms like oil zapper and oliviruses to degrade contaminants. Booms are physical barriers that slow the spread of oil, while skimmers are boats that skim spilled oil from the water surface. Sorbents, which act like sponges, are also used to absorb oil. On the legal front, several international conventions govern oil pollution. These include the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships or MARPOL of 1978, the Oil Pollution Preparedness, Response, and Cooperation of 1990, and the International Convention on Civil Liability for Oil Pollution Damage of 1992. Nationally, India addresses oil pollution through laws like the Merchant Shipping Act, 1958, the Environment Protection Act, 1986, and the National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan, 1996. This oil spill highlights the urgent need for stringent measures and international cooperation to prevent such disasters.
In a critical development, the National Green Tribunal has issued a notice to the centre over the alarming rise in ground-level ozone levels in Delhi, which have been exceeding permissible limits. The tribunal took cognizance of the increasing levels of ground-level ozone, which is a key air pollutant and a precursor to smog. Let's understand what ground-level ozone, or tropospheric ozone, is. Ozone is a variant of oxygen made up of 3 oxygen atoms. It occurs naturally both in the Earth's upper atmosphere and at ground level or tropospheric ozone. Now, shifting focus to the types of ozone, depending on where it is found in the atmosphere, it can either be helpful or harmful. Stratospheric ozone, situated between 10 and 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface, is naturally occurring and plays a crucial role in shielding the planet from the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. In contrast, tropospheric ozone, found closer to the ground, specifically below 10 kilometers above the Earth's surface, is primarily created by chemical reactions between man-made emissions. This ground-level ozone acts as a potent greenhouse gas, contributing to climate change, and also poses significant health risks as an air pollutant, harming human health, crop production, and ecosystems. Ground-level ozone is a short-lived secondary pollutant which is formed in the ground level through atmospheric reactions in the presence of sunlight, driven by high temperatures and emissions of precursor pollutants like nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds. Peak levels occur in summer seasons. These pollutants mainly come from vehicular emissions, fossil fuel power plants, oil refineries, and even the agriculture sector. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, the national ambient air quality standards for ground-level ozone are set at 100 micrograms per cubic meter for an 8-hour average and 180 micrograms per cubic meter for a 1-hour limit. However, these levels are being breached in Delhi, particularly during the summer months when ozone peaks. Now, let's look at the impacts of ground-level ozone. On health, it is responsible for 1 million premature deaths globally each year and worsens conditions like asthma and bronchitis. Environmentally, it acts as a strong greenhouse gas, contributing to global warming. Additionally, it affects agriculture and ecosystems by reducing crop productivity, carbon uptake by plants, and impedes growth. To tackle this issue, several measures have been implemented to control precursor emissions of nitrogen oxide and volatile organic compounds. These include the adoption of BS6 vehicles, which have significantly reduced nitrogen oxide emissions by up to 87% for heavy vehicles and 70 to 85% for two-wheelers. Electric mobility is also being promoted under the PM Electric Drive initiative to achieve zero vehicular emissions. Under the revised industrial emission standards, stricter nitrogen oxide and volatile organic compounds standards have been introduced for industries like fertilizers and thermal power plants. Additionally, vapor recovery systems have been installed at petrol pumps in Delhi NCR to reduce VOC emissions during refueling. The rising ozone levels highlight the urgent need for enhanced measures and strict enforcement of pollution standards.
Moving ahead, we delve into the latest findings from the impact assessment studies conducted on Smart Cities mission. The Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore conducted the studies under the Sarsamiksha series of the Smart Cities mission, highlighting improvements in education and women's safety in India's smart cities. For context, the Smart Cities mission is a centrally sponsored scheme launched by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in 2015. Its primary goal is to enhance the quality of life in 100 selected cities by providing efficient services, robust infrastructure, and a sustainable environment. The mission was initially set for a 5-year duration, but it has now been extended until 31st March 2025. The approach includes both area-based development, which serves as replicable models, and pan-city projects, which are technology-driven initiatives aimed at transforming urban living. As the Smart Cities mission progresses, it continues to shape India's urban landscape, improving lives and creating sustainable futures for millions. Let's take a closer look at the details. The SAR, or Smart Cities and Academia Towards Action and Research initiative, launched in 2022, has led to the Smart Cities mission, commissioning 50 impact assessment research studies under its Samiksha series. Now, let's discuss the impacts of this mission. In the realm of education, the Smart Cities mission has made substantial strides. 71 smart cities have successfully established 9,433 smart classrooms in 2,398 government schools. This initiative has led to a remarkable 22% increase in student enrollment from the academic years 2015-16 to 2023-24, particularly in 19 cities. Furthermore, in 41 cities including Raipur and Tumkuru, digital libraries have been built, facilitating inclusive access to smart education for all. Moving on to women's safety, a crucial aspect of the mission, the installation of over 59,802 CCTV cameras and emergency call boxes in 93 smart cities has enhanced security. These measures are backed by real-time monitoring and evidence-based policing through integrated command and control centers. As a result, cities like Nagpur have witnessed a significant 14% decline in crime rates, showcasing the positive impact of these surveillance systems. On the environmental front, cities have also made great strides. For instance, Bangalore and Chandigarh have developed eco-parks, Indore has created city forests, and places like Coimbatore and Mangaluru have rejuvenated their water bodies. Additionally, green corridors have been built to further enhance the urban environment. In terms of skill development, skill-building centers such as a Digital Handicraft Incubation Center in Tirupati have helped in improving income. The Smart Cities mission has also significantly improved sanitation and waste management. Cities like Indore and Kavratti have made strides with initiatives like waste segregation and waste-to-energy projects, setting a benchmark for sustainability. In a significant development for India's energy sector, NTPC Limited has partnered with US-based clean core Thorium Energy to explore thorium-based nuclear energy solutions. The two organizations have signed a strategic pact to develop and deploy advanced nuclear energy for enriched life. NTPC, a Maharatna company under the Government of India, is the nation's largest power generator. Now, what exactly is ANEEL? Developed by Clean Core Thorium Energy, ANEEL is a thorium-based fuel designed for pressurized heavy water reactors. It uniquely combines thorium with small amounts of enriched uranium. So, why is ANEEL fuel significant? Let's look at the expected benefits. First, it enables the use of thorium in existing pressurized heavy water reactors, enhancing India's energy security by leveraging domestically available thorium. Second, it reduces nuclear waste generation by over 85% through high burn-up fuel performance. Third, fewer fuel replacements translate to cost savings in reactor operations. And finally, the spent fuel is non-weaponizable due to thorium content, ensuring non-proliferation benefits. Speaking of thorium, it's a naturally occurring radioactive metal that exists in a single isotopic form, thorium-232, which decays very slowly. The most common source of thorium is monazite, with the richest concentrations found in placer deposits. India, in fact, holds the largest thorium reserves in the world, with 11.93 million tons of monazite containing 1.07 million tons of thorium. If we look at the distribution of monazite resources, which contain 9 to 10% thorium, across various states in India, Andhra Pradesh holds the largest share with 3.72 million tons, followed by Tamil Nadu with 2.46 million tons, Odisha with 2.41 million tons, and Kerala with 1.90 million tons. West Bengal accounts for 1.22 million tons, while smaller contributions come from Jharkhand with 0.22 million tons, Gujarat with 0.07 million tons, and Maharashtra with 0.004 million tons. However, thorium is not directly fissile, and so is not directly usable in a thermal neutron reactor. It requires a fissile material, such as uranium-233 or plutonium-239, as a driver for chain reaction. This partnership marks a crucial step toward harnessing thorium's potential and securing India's energy future. Moving on, the Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services released the Transformative Change Report. The report is also known as Assessment Report on the underlying causes of biodiversity loss and the determinants of transformative change and options for achieving the 2050 vision for biodiversity. The report is a call to action for global efforts to address the biodiversity crisis and offers clear pathways toward a sustainable and nature-positive future. At its core, transformative change is defined as a fundamental, system-wide shift in views, ways of thinking, structures, ways of organizing and governing, and practices, ways of doing and behaving. Such changes are necessary to ensure long-term sustainability and to address the urgent issue of biodiversity loss. The report emphasizes 4 guiding principles that should direct this transformative change: equity and justice, pluralism and inclusion, respectful and reciprocal human-nature relationships, and adaptive learning and action. There are 5 interconnected global challenges in transformative change. First, technology access, highlighting barriers to clean technology and knowledge sharing. Second, colonial relations, which address the historical power dynamics influencing modern interactions. Third, economic inequalities, pointing to disparities in wealth and resources worldwide. Fourth, policy inadequacies, emphasizing insufficient policies and institutions to meet current needs. And finally, unsustainable practices, which focus on harmful consumption and production methods. Together, these challenges form a complex framework requiring holistic solutions for meaningful progress. The report also outlines 5 interrelated strategies that are crucial for achieving global sustainability and reversing biodiversity loss. First, it calls for the need to conserve, restore, and regenerate places of value. For instance, community-based conservation programs, such as Nepal's Community Forestry Program and India's Community-based Forest Management, demonstrate how local communities can play a significant role in restoring and managing forests and other natural resources. Second, the report emphasizes the importance of driving systematic change in sectors responsible for nature's decline. Sectors like agriculture, livestock, fisheries, forestry, and urban development are major contributors to biodiversity loss. Third, the report stresses the need to transform economic systems for nature and equity. The report highlights the gap in funding for biodiversity, pointing out that biodiversity management requires over $900 billion annually, while only $135 billion is currently being spent. Given that over 50% of annual global GDP, equivalent to $58 trillion, is moderately to highly dependent on nature, there is a compelling case for integrating nature into economic decision-making. Fourth, the report advocates for transforming governance systems to be more inclusive and accountable. It highlights the example of the Galapagos Marine Reserve, where ecosystem-based governance has been successfully implemented. Finally, the report calls for a shift in societal views to recognize the interconnectedness of humans and nature. This transformation can be achieved through nature-based experiences, policy support, and integrating indigenous knowledge to transform behaviors. Now, let's look at IPBES in detail. The Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services was established in 2012 with the aim of strengthening the science policy interface for biodiversity and ecosystem services. It seeks to enhance the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity, thereby contributing to human well-being and sustainable development. The Secretariat is based in Bonn, Germany, and this independent intergovernmental body consists of 150 member governments, with India being one of its founding members. While it is not a UN body, the UN Environment Programme provides Secretariat services to IPBES, ensuring collaboration between the platform and other international organizations. In conclusion, the Transformative Change Report from IPBES offers a comprehensive and actionable roadmap for addressing the biodiversity crisis.
In a concerning development, a recent study has revealed the largest documented vertebrate die-off link to warming oceans. The 2014 to 2016 Pacific marine heatwave tragically wiped out 4 million of Alaska's seabirds, showcasing the rapid and intense impacts of climate change. Now, let's take a closer look at marine heat waves. It is an extreme weather event that occurs when the surface temperature of a particular region of the sea rises to 3 or 4 degrees Celsius above the average temperature for at least 5 days. These events can last for weeks, months, or even years. But what are the mechanisms contributing to the formation of a marine heat wave? Weakened North Pacific high winds lead to reduced evaporative cooling at the ocean surface, allowing for increased solar heating. Simultaneously, a thinner mixed layer develops due to less mixing between the surface and cooler, deeper waters. This thinner mixed layer, coupled with reduced cloud cover, allows for more efficient solar heating, further contributing to the warming of the ocean surface and the formation of a marine heat wave. The typical size of these warm patches is estimated to be between 500 to 2,000 kilometers. There are two primary drivers of marine heat waves. The first is surface heat flux. This refers to heating from the atmosphere, which tends to occur when an atmospheric high-pressure system sits above a region of water for an extended period. These events tend to be shallower and shorter in duration. The second driver is advection. This is where warmer water masses are transported into the region by ocean currents. It can be deeper and longer lasting. Now, let's look at the impacts of these marine heat waves. First, ecosystem disruption. They can cause mass mortality of habitat-forming species like kelps and coral reefs, disrupting ecosystem productivity. Second impact is on the species, especially the upper trophic level species face reduced reproductive success, increased mortality, and mass die-offs. Third, shifts in species distribution have been observed, with native species migrating to cooler waters, while invasive species like sea urchins and jellyfish thriving due to marine heat waves. Furthermore, higher temperatures and deoxygenation can contribute to the formation of toxic algal blooms, which can harm marine life and even pose risks to human health. And lastly, these events can also intensify extreme weather events like hurricanes and tropical storms. Moving on to some key observations about marine heat waves. The number of these events has doubled since 1982. The heat waves have increased by up to fourfold in the tropical Indian Ocean, aided by rapid warming in the Indian Ocean and strong El Niños. Moreover, the total number of days with marine heat waves averaged over the entire globe has increased by 50% over the last century.
In today's Place in News, we turn our attention to South Korea with its capital Seoul. Recently, a Jeju airplane flying from Bangkok to South Korea crashed on landing. Let's look at the political features of this country. South Korea is located in East Asia, occupying the southern half of the Korean peninsula. It shares a heavily fortified land border with North Korea, divided along the 38th parallel, which is a demilitarized zone. The country is surrounded by seas on the east, west, and south. It is bordered by the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan or East Sea. Moving on to the geographical features. South Korea is dominated by the Taebaek mountain range along the eastern coast. The western and southern regions of the country have fertile plains. Jeju Island is the largest island located in the Korea Strait. Her River and Nakdong River are prominent rivers of South Korea. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. Indian Army contingent left for Nepal to take part in the 18th Battalion Level Joint Military Exercise, Surya Kiran. It is an annual joint military exercise between India and Nepal conducted alternatively in two countries. The objective of the exercise is to enhance interoperability in jungle warfare and counter-terrorism operations in mountains, among others. Delhi High Court has ordered the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Delhi government for implementing PM Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. According to RBI data, the real effective exchange rate index of rupee touched a record 108.14 in November 2024, strengthening by 4.5% during 2024. Effective exchange rate measures the value of a currency against a basket of other currencies. These grasp a country's international competitiveness in terms of its foreign exchange rates. Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, is launching India's first fishing cat collaring project at Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary. This sanctuary is located in Godavari estuary in Andhra Pradesh, where the Koringa River confluences into Bay of Bengal. Directorate General of Trade Remedies has recommended imposition of anti-dumping duty on import of polyvinyl chloride paste resin from China and 5 other countries. Directorate General of Trade Remedies was named in May 2018 as an integrated single-window agency for providing a comprehensive and swift trade defense mechanism in India. Researchers successfully teleported the quantum state of light over 30 kilometers of fiber optic cable. This breakthrough shows the potential for quantum and classical networks to share the same infrastructure. Kamrajar Port records 154% surge in cargo handling capacity. Situated on the Coromandel coast, 24 kilometers north of Chennai Port, Kamrajar is the 12th major port of India and the first port in India which is a public company. India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement marks 2 years of remarkable success. Bilateral merchandise trade surged from $12.2 billion in 2020 to 21 to $26 billion in 2020 to 23. Trade moderated to $24 billion in 2023 to 24, with India's exports growing 14% to Australia. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us.
We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.